Hogstye.
Hey everybody, and we are just reeling after that 1-point loss to the Giants, I think. Everybody kind of expected this to be close, but now I think, it's over. It's time for this team to just kind of wrap it up, give up, tank, do whatever they want to do. Let's trade everybody away. Let's fire everybody. That's where the fan base is going to be at, so that's where we should all be at right now. This is Alex as your host. Steve and Jamal are with me. We assume Rob is off at work because, he's got that crazy work schedule. Guys, I don't know how you felt when that 2-point conversion came up short. I'm just numb to it all at this point. So, it doesn't even bother me.
Oh, listen, we've talked about this on the air before, Alex. I mean, you get really numb to these wins and losses doing this, as a media, fringe media member like we are anyway. So I'm numb to it. Personally, I would have kicked the extra point. I tried to pull some stats real quick, but it gets way more complicated than just success or not because of, you're talking about probability of success in given situations and blah, blah, blah. Personally, look, when you're a team like Washington, I would have secured the tie and lived to fight another play. That's just me. I'm not going to fault Ron for going for it necessarily, but personally, I would have kicked the extra point. Yeah, what I really wonder about that play, sorry, Jamal, is why the heck didn't Kyle Allen run? Because he had a better chance of running it in there than he did throwing a pass that was going to go nowhere.
So I don't like the call, but personally, I don't care in this instance because we were 1-4. So it didn't make or break anything for me personally. I didn't like the call, but what made things even more mind-boggling is Ron Rivera's quote at the end. And I couldn't even, first off, the person who said this, JP Finley, said that he loved the quote. And it's up for personal opinion. I can't believe that he's serious that he liked it, but he was like, the only way to learn to win is to play to win. You're still playing to win by kicking the field goal. But what you're doing is you're giving yourself a better chance at winning versus going for a 2 in a situation where you just tied the ball game up and both sides are playing well. You just got to stop. First off, you just got to stop. They turned the ball over, your offense did, but you got to stop defensively to get them the ball back. So your defense isn't an issue at this moment. I just feel like there's other ways to try and make a case for why you went for 2. But at the same time, Kyle Allen did have an opportunity during the play to score, and he didn't do it.
Yeah, and I agree.
I'll just say,
why didn't he run it in? Some people are saying if you really look at it, he probably couldn't have gotten, there were faster guys coming at him.
Well, probably so, but he had a better shot, than just doing what he did.
He didn't have anyone to throw to.
Yeah.
So.
I'm kind of with Jamal. I don't care a whole lot either way, because like you said, Alex, I'm just numb to all this at this point anyway. I don't like the quote. I hadn't seen that before Jamal mentioned it. The only way to learn to win is to play to win. I don't know how kicking the extra point and tying the game is not playing to win.
Right.
Somebody tell me that. Because the Giants were down to about half a receiver at that point. All of them were hurt, it seemed like. Yeah. Washington had stopped them.
Our defense was playing well.
Yeah. Right. And so I don't know how that's not playing to win. I think Washington probably had a better chance of getting a field goal, in overtime than did the Giants. So I don't like the quote. But it's just, whatever. I expected a loss. I got a loss,
Yeah. I think we should talk a little bit more about the Kyle Allen performance overall. He is fairly consistent moving the ball, which I think is what they've wanted to see out of him. But, man, those 2 turnovers were both backbreakers. And,
yeah.
I mean, you hate to say it, but the loss is on him in that respect,
Certainly in large part. Here's the stats, by the way, real fast. Kyle Allen was 31 for 42, 280 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, had the 1 fumble, 3 sacks, rating of 97.3. J.D. McKissick was the leading rusher, 8 for 41. Antonio Gibson was 9 for 30. Peyton Barber was 4 for 6. I don't know how he even got 4 carries. The leading receiver on the day for both sides was McLaurin, 7 receptions, 74 yards. Long of 20 on 12 targets. Dontrell Inman had his best day as a Redskin or as a Washington, whatever. 5 for 45. J.D. McKissick 6 for 43, Logan Thomas 3 for 42 on the touchdown, Isaiah Wright 4 for 25, Antonio Gibson 4 for 25, Cam Sims 1 for 22 at the touchdown, his first of his career. And on the Giants side, Daniel Jones was 12 for 19, 112 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Quarterback rating of 74.9. He was also leading rusher on the day on both sides, 7 for 74. Devontae Freeman, 18 for 61 for 3.4 yards per attempt. Darius Slayton was 2 for 41. Evan Ingram, 2 for 30, and it goes down from there. In terms of sacks, Washington was credited with the 1 sack that Ryan Kerrigan had in the first quarter, I believe. Mm-hmm. And then the Giants had 3 sacks, and then Kendall Fuller had the gift of a fumble, or interception, which we'll get to.
Yeah.
So that's stats.
We'll definitely get to that. But I want to continue talking about offense first, guys. Like I said, I thought Allen, those 2 turnovers, that's 14 points there that he kind of allows off the turnovers, or at least 10, because I think the interception put them right in field goal range right away. Defense maybe could have stopped you, but still, that loses the game.
So I thought the much maligned play calling was better today. They did open up the field a little bit with many more downfield passes, even though he missed on a bunch of them. But that does keep a defense honest. Bearing in mind the Giants' defense stinks. Let's keep that in mind. But so all things are relative. But anyway, Turner, I think, does trust Kyle Allen more than Haskins, just based on the play calling. And, 280 yards passing is a decent day. If you take away the interceptions and whatnot, you had a decent day. Again, the real problem continues to be Washington just cannot run the ball to save their life at all, period. They're just awful at running the ball. If they had any
offensive
kind
line
of
in general is just not doing a good job.
Yeah, I mean, Daniel Scherf in there on the right side was better from a pass rush standpoint. That fumble, by the way, if you notice, was because of a stunt on the left side around Drawn Christian and Wes Schweitzer. That was the reason why Allen got hit and fumbled the ball. So, I mean, they've still got offensive line problems. The running game still sucks. Just sucks.
They can't open holes for it, which is the biggest problem.
Not at all. And they just don't have a quality running back number one.
No.
They just don't.
They don't.
So, but it was encouraging to see that the quarterback position, if you're looking at it from a short-term perspective, Kyle Allen is the right choice. We can debate that again if y'all want, but for the here and now, Kyle Allen's probably the best option.
Jamal, do you have any disagreement there to that statement, or?
I mean, I can't say I disagree, but I just don't know. And I say that, I don't say that in the sense of like me just throwing my hands up and throwing in the flag, but it's like Kyle Allen showed something to a smaller degree. He showed something that Haskins didn't have, but it's like I'm not about to sit here and say Allen moving forward. Sure, okay, this season, if you want to give it to Allen, okay, fine. But at the same time, I feel like I don't know where this offense could have been. You know what I'm saying? If Haskins and Allen had, if Haskins were granted the same assurances that Allen has, because the only reason why I say this, I don't trust the coordinator and I don't trust the head coach. And I think I've said that in terms of the coordinator. I've said that from the beginning, like in terms of his play calling and his self in general. I didn't trust him since week 2. I don't understand where he's going with things. But Ron Rivera, his explanations and logic behind the decisions that they're making makes me believe that they just weren't willing to give somebody a chance. And I'm not swinging this back on Haskins. I'm only saying that to say I don't know the truth behind making a definitive decision on Allen, given that we don't know what Haskins could have been. That's all I'm saying. So it's not about Haskins. It's just more so we don't know because they weren't even willing to give him the opportunity and reassurances that they will give Allen.
I think they just don't like the kid. I mean, it's as simple as that. I think.
Yeah. I mean, we know that. Yeah, and that's what I was saying. It's just I'm just not willing to say anything definitive. That's it.
I mean, Kyle Allen isn't by no means spectacular at all. And Alex, I think you pointed this out on Twitter. His arm is like Colt McCoy-ish, roughly.
Yeah,
I mean, he doesn't have
maybe
a
a
great
little bit
arm.
better.
Yeah, it's not a
McCoy
great arm.
dead ducked everything after a certain distance, but
Right,
yeah,
and then they're probably in the same. They're playing the same game, whereas Haskins has that big time arm. Um, I just don't want to debate this again. I mean,
I
if
know.
we've said what we're going to say, I agree wholeheartedly with Jamal
Yeah, I think we
completely.
all kind
But
of are there.
yeah, but in terms of this game, I think what Kyle Allen did pretty well. He does see the field as a whole and make it and progress through his reads, but better than Haskins does right now. He did that pretty well today. It's really the turnovers killed him. The turnovers and the lack of a running game is what did him in today.
Yeah.
Because the Giants got the touchdown. They got 10 points off of turnovers. Is that right?
No, they got I think 14.
Was it 14? Okay, I couldn't remember if
I
one of them
think
was a
both their
field goal or
touchdowns were
not.
off the turnovers.
Okay, yeah, and so there you go. I
But
mean,
it
and
might have
that's
been regardless. Any either of those doesn't happen and you win the game. That's the the real point.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, sorry. Yeah, yes. So anyway, so that's Kyle Allen. Um, we said there's nothing more to say about the run game. It just stinks. Um, you know, these teams. This is a pretty good wide receiver corner matchup today for McLaurin because James Bradbury's, pretty good corner. But when you have nobody out there, it's tough for a guy like McLaurin to make any sort of progress. And it showed today, 12 targets, only 7 receptions on it. He's just covered a lot, and they shade a safety over to him quite a bit. Um, so it's the same old story. It's a shame to waste such a talent like McLaurin in an offense like this.
It really is.
Yeah, I've seen that a few times. I agree, and I don't want this to be like another. Who can we think of like Santana Moss and Pierre Garcon? Those moments. Well, Pierre Garcon had success, so
And
he
Pierre
he had
Garcon,
plenty of success, but he just wasn't winning.
right? Pierre Garcon was on that team for a couple years with Deshaun Jackson and Crowder and like a bunch of guys who,
Yeah.
that's why he
Yeah.
ended up getting 100 catches, one year.
Yeah, I was just thinking like they just weren't winning, and so
Right.
I guess I'll just point back to the '05, the Chris Cooley's and the Santana Moss days, the people who really went through the mud with this team, and they just were not winning
Right.
for a long period of time.
Yeah. Or you could even go back to like I know he's not popular now, but Michael Westbrook, who had a lot of talent but nothing around him.
Well, he also had a horrible attitude. He didn't want to play football either.
That's
I
true.
mean,
He
there's
was-
more
and
to
he
Michael
was a bit of a
Westbrook than
psychopath.
that. Yeah, yeah. In terms of the running game, I have completely seen enough of Peyton Barber. I don't ever want to see him on the field again.
I'm with you.
I'm gonna die on the hill of they should have kept Adrian Peterson, but it's water under the bridge now. The problem with the run game, as much potential and athletic ability as Antonio Gibson has, he's just not really there yet. And Alex, you're completely right in saying the offensive line does not open running lanes for him. But that having been said, he's not yet a decisive enough runner
No, he's not.
as you would need, and that's what the hallmark of a good NFL running back is, that decisiveness. And he's getting there, but he's stuck behind this just atrocious offensive line. Which was a little better today. Granted, certainly at least in pass pro, yes.
I mean, the thing is, like, we got to see 2 plays with Sadiq Charles at left guard.
Yeah, until he went
And,
down hurt.
those 2 plays looked pretty good. They opened up a hole for that screen pass that was really nice. The opening play there, where it was a little screen, like, in a bubble, and it was right between Charles and...
We loved you for 20 seconds,
Right.
Sadiq.
I'm hoping that we don't hear that it's, done for the season with him. But,
That was crazy.
yeah,
Like I ain't gonna lie to you, I was looking forward to seeing how he played in the interior.
we all were.
And yeah, so that was one thing I was looking forward to, and just like that, like he ain't even last 2-3 plays.
He's doing a Darius Geis impression, like,
basically.
yeah, get hurt
Basically.
your very first play out there or whatever.
Oh my goodness, they're both from LSU too.
Yeah, something in the water down there. I don't know.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, the O-line definitely still having issues. Like you said, a little bit better today. But yeah, until we have the ability to, open up a gap or do something consistently with this offensive line, I don't see how you get any run game going. Like, they're not physical enough to just, do a straight up power block the guy in front of you, and they don't seem to be athletic enough to play zone.
I mean, it's a combination of both things. Their
Yeah.
running backs aren't that good by NFL standards, and the offensive line isn't that good either. So that's how you end up with, what you have.
Yeah, and
86 yards rushing.
yeah, which actually sounds better than it looked.
It is better, and it's better day than they've had in the past too, which is sad. But by their standards, it's a pretty decent running day, which is
Right.
awful.
Yeah,
Quite honestly. Here's a good thing though. We had a Dontrell Inman sighting.
right.
For the first time as a Redskin or as a Washington player. We had a Dontrell Inman sighting. He didn't make a huge impact. They did have 5 receptions, 45 yards. He actually did something.
I would
so
disagree
that's
with that,
positive.
Steve. He caught 3 first downs in that 4th down. He had a huge impact.
You're right. I'm underplaying.
I'm gonna say within the scope of this game, we can say that he was very impactful.
Those are clutch downs where he had catches. That's my point.
They're down to 3 healthy receivers now, by the way. I mean, because AGG went down. Not that he was going to probably do much anyway, but AGG went down, and then Isaiah Wright went out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they're down to McLaurin, Inman, and Cam Sims. Hopefully those injuries aren't serious for either one of them. Otherwise, they're going to be pulling somebody up from the practice squad.
Or the street at this point. I mean,
or the street. Who knows?
Frankly, I'm at the point where with Barber, and if we can find wide receivers off the street, running backs off the street, give them a shot.
Hey, they had some. They had Jordan Veazey. I thought he had some talent.
Yeah. We just need. I need to see some other names out there to just see if we can find anybody who can contribute. That's kind of where I think they're at. Let's switch sides to the defense. We're about halfway through, so it's a good time to switch the sides. So I'm going to put something out there just to start because I put out a little stupid tweet that Dan Snyder needs to go to Landon Collins and ask for that Sean Taylor jersey back because that guy's got to get traded at this point. I'm sick of seeing him take bad lines on basic runs and, guys getting 40, 50 yards because of it.
Nobody's going to trade for him.
I know.
They're
I'll
stuck
take a
with
ham
him this
sandwich.
year. Well, that's not going to happen.
I know.
Somebody has to want him, and his contract's too big. I mean, we definitely see why the Giants didn't want him anymore. At least there would have been a role for Collins at a more reasonable contract.
Sure.
But number one, he got trucked by the quarterback, which offended me greatly. Did he not? Or that was DeShazer Everett, actually, who got trucked by the quarterback.
Well, I don't remember who got. I thought.
No, he got his ankles broken. That's weird.
Yeah.
That's weird.
But Landon Collins, it's more of the same. What do we see? Bad angles, mixed up coverages, in the secondary, kind of more of the same from Landon Collins. The Giants just aren't that good.
No.
This is a game a decent team should have easily won. The Giants can't really run the ball either. They had they ran for 132 total yards, most of that, which is Jones, but that's a great running day for them.
Yeah.
And they were down to no receivers. All of them got hurt at one point. Almost all of them. I think they had 2 healthy receivers there by the end.
Yeah. Well, DeShazer Everett was just knocking people out right and left for one point in the second half.
That was kind of crazy.
Yeah. But in terms of a run game, here's I guess one positive is I saw more from the defensive line that I have in the past 4 weeks today.
They did a good job.
Deron Payne was stout.
Yeah.
John Allen was stout. Again, they're not making big flashy plays, but they impacted the game, by stuffing up for the most part, the running gaps, especially in the second half. Right. So, better from them. That's good. Nothing from Chase Young whatsoever. I don't know what happened there. We'll have to go back and watch this one.
One tackle in the backfield on a running back in the first quarter that I remember, but yeah, he did create the pressure that caused the interception. So you got to give him that too. But yeah, I mean the front 4 has been okay in and out. It really is more of a problem of gap assignment from linebackers and Collins. I think that's where we get beat by running backs from time to time. Is all right. Payne's blocked his guys, Allen's blocked his guys, Young's blocked his guys. Sweat doing good, but if there's one hole left and the linebacker isn't filling it properly, which I don't care who it is, it's one of them at all times, that's when we're getting gashed.
I think it's kind of interesting in the offseason as Landon Collins was doing his press rounds or whatever with the media, he kind of mentioned how the defensive coordinator was, making a defense not literally tailored to him, but like playing to his strengths, so he's able to do a lot of things for the defense, and it sounded good back then, but it's just interesting to see how things unfolded to this point. We're 6 weeks in. We're going into week 7, I think, right? Yeah, 1-5. We're going into week 7. 6 weeks in, and he's looked awful, and awful compared to what we're asking him to do and the expectation level of the type of player that we want Landon to be. He hasn't been good at all.
Well, one thing I've kind of started picking up on is Jack Del Rio has these guys doing a lot of putting all 8 guys on the line of scrimmage type, pass rush looks. And those are where Collins seems to get exploited the most. I don't know if he really is best at the line of scrimmage. I think he needs to, still be back a little so he can get a better read on where things are going.
Landon Collins is fundamentally a linebacker.
Right.
So you do want him kind of positioned as a linebacker, I think. I don't really think he's a safety. I think he needs to be a dime backer or something, personally. And so, I don't think he's necessarily the best right on the line of scrimmage like that, at least all the time.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, though? Like, you can tell that that's what they're doing more.
They're disguising coverages and stuff doing that, and I get it, for sure. I think it's safe to say that the Giants' O-line won the day against our edge rushers, because that was a big thing to watch. I pointed that out in a written game preview. The analysts pointed these matchups out, pointed out that the Giants' first-round pick, Andrew Thomas, got benched in favor of some other rookie I'd never even heard of. He held his own all day against Sweat, for the most part, against Sweat and Young, both, because they were flipping sides and whatnot. And neither of the edge rushers made a huge impact today like we hoped, because if you recall, one of the things that both of us, Alex, pointed out in the game preview was you got to make Daniel Jones uncomfortable. You had to blitz him, you had to hit him, and that for most basically didn't happen today.
Yeah, I mean, there were 2 plays where he really got rattled, and one was a sack, one was an interception. Other than that, it didn't seem like they did much. The one guy who we keep overlooking when it comes to the edge rushers, Ryan Anderson, every time he's in there, he seems to miss on a run play. I don't know if other people have been picking that up. He's supposed to be in there for run stuff, and he cannot run stop.
Well, it's kind of weird, because that's what he supposless does best,
right?
In my view, at least, is run.
Yeah, he ain't doing it. I don't know what
he's doing it.
Yeah. Let's talk about Everett, since this was his first game as a starting safety this year. What did you guys think? I've always had a soft spot for DeShazer Everett as just like kind of a good yeoman, blue collar. He plays a lot of special teams, a lot of backup stuff, and then he gets in games like this, and I think he always does okay.
He's okay.
Yeah.
He's not spectacular. He's not going to be spectacular. He wasn't making the huge soul-crushing mistakes that Troy Apke was making.
Right.
So in that respect, it's probably better to have Everett in there than Apke. But either way, they're going to have to draft a safety next year.
Right. Well,
no matter what. But I guess I'd rather have Everett in there than Apke, simply because he's just kind of a smarter football guy than Apke is.
Yeah, and
doesn't have Apke's speed, but
no, but he's very physical.
He's physical, and I'd take his ability to see the right angles in coverages more than I would Troy Apke's.
Sure.
Say it like that.
Sure, I'll take that any day. Whiffing doesn't help anybody. Yeah.
So, by the way, do we all agree that the Kendall Fuller interception wasn't really an interception and it was a gift? I thought it was. I thought it was out.
I think it's a gift.
Out.
It's close, and I can see why they couldn't overturn it, because,
I'll take it.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but I thought, if I was a Giants fan, I'd be pretty upset about that call.
Sure, I would.
I'll take y'all word for it. I told y'all I ended up missing that.
It.
Yeah, I missed it, so it don't even matter.
His elbow was on the white chalk, but you couldn't really see on the angle where you saw his elbow hit the chalk. You couldn't really see where his feet and his knees were, and that was why I think they couldn't overturn it. I think
the thing to me is, like, feet are kind of easy to figure out. All right, that foot's down, that foot's down. But like an arm and an elbow, I can't really tell, especially from what part is hitting, like how much has to be inbounds before you say it's inbounds with an arm? Or,
Personally, I would have overturned it. But
I probably would have too. I'm just,
Yeah.
I can understand why it could be tough.
Yeah, I think so. But listen, Kendall Fuller though, bright spot on the defense. Obviously, 4 interceptions in 6 games.
Mm-hmm.
It's up. I don't know what people did today, but 4 interceptions is near the top of the NFL.
I think as of the end of the game, he was still the leader.
It's number 1.
Yeah.
There you go.
And
so finally,
I'll say, you guys know I was kind of against them bringing him back. I'll eat crow on that. Like I
wasn't
great.
Against them bringing him back. I was against them bringing him back at $40 million.
Well,
that's what I was against.
Sure. Sometimes I'm not going to play with other people's money. Like I didn't. I was looking at numbers and metrics and saying, I don't know if he's going to be worth bringing back. But I was wrong. So
yeah. So great to have him.
He's the only person in the secondary making plays. So
no doubt about that. We saw Fabian Moreau get burnt by Darius Slayton for the long touchdown, man coverage 1-on-1. It wasn't the worst play in the world, but he got beat and cost him a touchdown. You know?
By the way, I cannot keep track of who's what because I think half the secondaries changed their jersey numbers this year.
I know, it's hard. They have to. They did. Yeah. I had to go back and change all that on our roster page because I realized it was all wrong.
Because I was like, that wasn't Fabian Moreau. That was Danny. Oh no, wait, Danny Johnson's now this number. They all keep changing jerseys. They do it because they know they're embarrassing themselves. I think. I don't know.
If you guys could tell, it's I wouldn't say it's a low energy show here for this, but we're all just very numb to these results.
Yeah, I think so.
That's part of the problem. Is I feel like sometimes with this team we're saying the same things over and over again every week with these games. Yeah. Was that a little bit better result? Yes, but they were playing a horrible team. Even against a bad defense, they still can't put up more than 19 points. Fine. The mistakes cost them some points probably, but the bottom line is they put up not 19 points.
No, 19
what was the
points.
final score?
It was 19.
Yeah.
20 to 19.
I mean, God help us if they break the 20 mark in points on this team. It is a bit depressing to keep saying the same thing.
We broke 20 once or twice this year. 30, I don't think they've had a 30-point game in 3 years now or something. It's been a long time.
Right?
Well, now I got something to look up while we talk. I'm going to do this right now.
It's about 30, I think, because they didn't
Yeah, they scored 20 against the Browns and then 27 against the Eagles.
Right.
Close.
They almost got to 30 there. Should have taken
and
the
Eagles were terrible too, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, we got 35 against the Giants last year in overtime.
Oh, we did? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Overtime. 41-35.
Okay, so it was an overtime game where we did it. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I guess for me, it's not really depressing. This just bores me.
Yeah.
It's the same. We see the same things over and over again every week. They can't run the ball. There's mistakes in coverage. The pass rush disappoints us because we've seen that multiple times this year too.
The most aggravating thing is the only things on this offense that they do semi-well are very vanilla. Anytime they try something like an end around, even like an exotic screen pass of some kind, it just blows up in our face.
You saw the Wildcat. They tried the Wildcat in the first quarter. If everybody caught this.
And it's like they never practiced it because the QB was still in motion when they snapped the ball.
And the play got blown up anyway.
Yeah.
So the play got blown up and they got a penalty, because of Kyle Allen moving, as you said. So,
right.
I don't know. What can you say?
I mean, I think we've said it.
Yeah.
You guys want to get to game balls at this point and just call it a game?
Let me see. Do we have any more interesting notes here? It just can't be that interesting.
No, because it wasn't an interesting game.
Not really, no.
2/3 of us fell asleep during the game at some point.
I didn't fall asleep during the game.
For those who are listening, don't even think about getting upset at us for falling asleep. It is not our responsibility for Washington to be entertaining. That's on them. They need to be entertaining. They need to play good football. If they're not doing that for 30 consecutive weeks in a row, whose fault is that? That's not ours. Look, we get tired too.
Yeah.
I mean, the bigger question here is Washington going to win another game this year?
Yeah, they'll
look
into
I'm
one.
Serious. I'm dead serious. Are they going to win another game?
They will look into like 4 wins, just enough so they can't get Trevor Lawrence, which is what everyone's clamoring about now. Is they want the superstar quarterback.
It's every year we want the superstar quarterback.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
Not every year. Most years.
Yeah, last year was an exception.
Yeah.
technically, I take that back because a lot of people did want Joe Burrow as well. So I take that back. But I think that's a discussion that's actually important. We don't need to talk about it right now because it's only 1-5. We assume that we're going to win at least 2 to 3 more games. But here's the deal. I feel like what Steve asked, are we going to go on 1-15 is a legitimate question, but it also points back to Ron Rivera because for a person who said that the division is wide open, and you don't win another game since you said that, and you benched that quarterback that you could have developed this entire year, or you could have used to try and develop the entire year, and see what you had before moving forward. It kind of it's a red flag, but at the same time, you just have to see how everything unfolds. We're not at 1-15. This is all a hypothetical, right. Assuming that you lose the rest of your games. But there is something that's to be said about Ron Rivera, and the decisions that he's made to this point that would have eventually led to them not winning another game. Like for example, this one where we just talked about the 2-point conversion, for a team that wanted to get the short-term glory, and you don't play it as smart as you could with a high percentage of winning the game, then there's something that you call into question. So, but it's a legitimate question at the end of the day. What Steve asked, and I don't know. I don't know if they'll win another game, but at the same time, if they don't, that's a red flag.
I mean, they'll probably, like you said, Alex, luck their way into 1 or 2 victories along the way, probably. I mean, they've got Dallas twice, the Giants once, then Detroit, Pittsburgh, San Francisco, Seattle, Carolina, and then the Eagles.
Yeah.
It's hard to see a guaranteed win in there, like a game they should be favored in. Maybe the Giants at home.
There
maybe.
are at least 3 games in there that are still in the winnable. They'll be like this game, it'll be a 2-point win kind of thing, one way or the other.
The thing is, they've got a lot of away games coming up.
Yeah.
After they get through the bye, it's 4 home games, 5 away games. You got to think the Steelers, 49ers probably losses, right? Well, at least one of those Dallas on Thanksgiving, I'm writing that game off.
Yeah.
Seattle, they have no chance against Seattle.
No.
Carolina, don't know, maybe. Carolina, Eagles, maybe. There's a maybe. Detroit Lions, always a maybe. So there's a few maybes in there, but it doesn't look good.
Right.
For sure.
I mean, it's the winnable versus,
right.
just no chance.
Right.
Yeah. And winnable is at best you maybe have a 25% chance in these games.
Cheers, everybody.
Yes. All right, let's do game balls and get out of here.
Right.
If you do either of you guys have any of you want to go first, or
Lord, I'll start.
Okay.
Just to give you guys time to think. And this is another game where I really don't feel like giving any game balls because nobody on either side of the ball really deserved a game ball. To be perfectly honest, I don't think.
I have one guy on the defensive side, and I'm gonna have to fool around with the offense.
Okay, well that's fine. I'm not giving Kyle Allen a game ball when he had the 2 turnovers that led to 14 points. I'm sorry. I guess by default, Terry McLaurin, because he looked good like he always does. I don't think this is one he's going to put on his mantle or anything, but I guess Terry McLaurin by default because nobody else deserves an offensive game ball. And on defense, oh, Lord, another game where nobody excited me too much. I'm going to give it to Kendall Fuller, even though I really didn't think he made that interception. It was still a great effort, and he looks like he cares out there, and he made an impact play. So I guess for me, it's between him and Deron Payne. And I'll give it to you know what, I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to give it to Payne just because I always bash the defensive line so much. Payne had a good game, so for me, McLaurin and Deron Payne.
I'm not even gonna lie to you. I have not the slightest clue of who I would give it to on offense. I don't know. I don't know.
Nobody deserves it.
No.
That's what I'm saying. And y'all know I've been participating all 6 weeks giving these game balls out in mid-fair. I do not know who to give it to. I'm just gonna say NA for offense, but on defense I will just say Kendall Fuller, just off the strength that he leads the league in interceptions, and regardless of if they counted it or not, if it was actually an interception or not, they counted it. So I'm just gonna say interception on Kendall Fuller, give him the player of the game for defense.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Inman on offense. like I said when we were talking about it earlier, he only had, 4 catches or so, but I think 5 catches, but he had that 4th down one, which was huge. He had a big 3rd down one. I think he had 2 third down catches that were pretty big. So, it's all about, he's not a star receiver, but that's what you want from that possession guy. And then on defense, I'm going with Payne. Payne had a great game. He blew up at least 4 plays in the backfield. So, he's really gotten very good at stuffing the run, which we need some help there. Still.
Yeah, I mean, if they could only keep one of the two of Payne and Allen,
right,
because of salary
right
and all that, yeah, I think it's Payne for sure. Look, congratulations, Washington. You only lost by a point to one of the 3 worst teams in football who hadn't won a game before.
But they're also one of the 3 worst teams. So.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's right. Sorry, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Okay, well, that should do it for this week. We should wrap this up because it's Dallas week now, right? So, yay.
Yay.
Who's ready to go get blown out by the Cowboys?
There was a time when those were big games.
Yeah, not anymore. I think, especially now that we're no longer the Redskins, that rivalry's just dead.
Yeah, no, they were really good games like 30 years ago. I remember them.
Yeah. Before you were born?
Yeah, before I was born.
Can I just say to the NFL schedulers, please stop scheduling Washington on Thanksgiving Day. For the love of all that's good and holy, stop. Do you guys realize how hard it is to do Thanksgiving Day games? Think about the poor people who have to cover these games when Washington looks terrible and looks horrible and gets blown out, and it ruins our Thanksgiving Day anyway. Well, please stop.
Well, for what it's worth, now I completely get it, Steve. I'm not even arguing against you. I would just provide a more positive outlook, which is at least you can relax on Sundays and watch football all day long without worrying about whether or not the Washington football team will lose or win. You already know the outcome.
It's going to be a loss.
Yeah, yes, you already know they lost. Except that one time we beat the Giants.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
You just enjoy your Sunday. Win or lose, you knew the outcome as you go into Sunday. And if you're a gambler like myself, you get to watch NFL Red Zone all day long.
That's all Jamal cares about, making bank.
Mostly,
okay, guys.
I hate having to do hog-style late night stuff on Thanksgiving Day for a game that is an
automatic
Friday.
Loss. We know it's going to be a loss. It's going to be miserable. We'll do it the next day.
We'll talk about it off the air.
All right. Okay, guys. Later. I hope you enjoyed the show. Bye.
Because we didn't.